Hi everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. I just wanted to make sure my volume was working. So welcome to my weekly tea time on a card. So I have not been going live for quite a few weeks because I've been really busy with craft fairs and farmers markets. So I hope I'm back on track. I actually did 3 cards yesterday for the next 3 classes. So welcome everyone. I'm a little early today too because I have something going on later tonight. So I am going to be using the Simply Zinnia, not the bundle, just the stamp set. I'm using the large flower plus the sentiment. I'm just going to give it a little bit more time here. I can see everybody hopping on. Good evening. And then I'm also using, it's the painted lavender bundle, but I'm actually just using one of the dies. I just need to get it here. I'm using this die right here. As you can see, we have coordinating dies. So I'm not using any stamp images from this set. And I've gone ahead and pre-cut. Now, before I show you what I'm using, I wanted to make an announcement. I did put this on my group Stampin' Ink Designs Facebook page, but in case you missed it, so Stamping Up is going to be releasing some scrapbooking products on September 4th. There's there is, let me see how long this is. There's 19 pages in here of all new products. So make sure you check the online store on September 4th because I have a feeling a lot of these products are going to sell out really quick. It's a limited supply. So you can't say I didn't warn you. Make sure you check the online store early. Now, let me show you what I'm using today. I'm making 2 cards. Thick basic white, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and fold those while I have them in front of me. So those are all ready to go. I have a piece of watercolor paper, measures 5 by 3 3/4. And I'm using 1 piece of watercolor paper to make 2 cards. It's the coolest technique. I'm into techniques lately, so you guys, I'm going to have 3 weeks of watercolor techniques coming up. Here's the die that I used. I used watercolor paper. You'll understand why when you see me put the card together. I cut a total of 5 of these with watercolor paper. This one is single. These are double. So I glued 2 on top of each other. So you need 5 total, 2 that are stacked together, 1 single. We're going to do more to this. I have Petunia Pop, 4 1/4 by 1/2 inch, 2 pieces. Wait, is that 1/2 inch? I gotta look. Yeah, it looked bigger for some reason. And let me see what else. I have a water spritzer and I'm using the one with the big brush. I have a piece of paper towel. I'm going to put that right now so I don't forget. It can get a little messy. I have my silicone mat. And then I'm also using the Nested Essential Dies number 2 on this shape. So we're going to put that right there. And on the cards that I'm going to show you, I use silver embossing powder. Today I'm going to use gold so I can show you the difference. So gold embossing powder. For inks, I have Versamark, Petunia Pop, and Lost Lagoon. Let me move everything over. Now I'm going to bring the cards in. So these are the 2 cards. I'm going to show you how to do this watercolor technique with the embossing over it. We cut out 2 die cuts. The shape goes here, and then we cut out the branch, and it goes here. So we swap them around. Let me bring this close so you guys can see the embossing. Look how pretty the silver is. Very shiny. Same thing on this one, of course. And then I'm going to use the gold so you can see the difference. Now, I want to move everything way over there so I don't splatter my white pieces. We're going to take the watercolor paper. Also need spray bottle of water. So I'm going to go ahead, just spray a lot. You can see it's quite wet. I'm going to create an ink well with my ink pads. If you've never done this before, you just leave the lid closed. You squeeze with the palm of your hands. And what happens is you get ink right here. I'm going to do the same with the Lost Lagoon. Oh, you guys like that. They are beautiful cards. Okay, now I'm going to use, oops, wait a minute. I just got water over here. I got to wipe up. I'm going to use my brush and I'm just going to squeeze until the water comes out. I'm going to add drops of water on both. Now again, I've got a lot of water on my sheet. All I'm going to do is scribble. And you want to leave some white spaces. Now I'm going to rinse my brush, rinse some of that petunia pop out. We're going to use the next color. And again, leave some white space. It looks like a hot mess right now, but wait. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush again by squeezing and wiping. Now I'm going to take this and use my heat tools. I'm going to make a little bit of noise. This needs to be completely dry to do the next step. And what I normally do, see where it's collecting here on the edge? I try to push that over into the corner and then it comes right off into the paper towel. I'm going to do that right here with this as well. Push those dots right off. Your paper is going to curl quite a bit, but once I'm pretty dry, I'm going to flip it over. It's starting to straighten out. I'm just going to dab on the ends here to wipe up that excess. And again, you want this to be super, super dry because we're going to be adding embossing powder. We don't want the embossing powder to stick to the ink. Okay, it's pretty dry. I'm going to flip it over to flatten it out. Okay. Now the next step, let me bring in my pad of paper. We're going to do the embossing powder. I am going to use my embossing buddy just to make sure this is nice and dry. I'm just pouncing it on there so some of the powder comes out. Okay, here we go. I'm all done with this color. I'm just going to close this for now. I'm going to need that one again for the sentiment. Okay, so now I'm using Versamark ink. It's going to be hard for you guys to see, but I'm going to stamp some flowers. And I don't want them to be lined up. So I'm kind of just scattering them here and there. I'm also turning my stamp or my cardstock so that the image is not facing the same way each time. Let me see. See, I can see what I'm stamping, but you guys can't. You'll see it when I put the powder on. Okay, I'm all set. Now I'm going to bring in the gold. Now you can see my flowers. So you can see what I mean by making sure your paper is super dry so that the powder only sticks to the images. Okay, there's my gold. Let me move this over. I'm going to use the heat tool one more time. And you're going to see how this is going to turn bright, shiny gold. Now, the best stamp image to use when doing this is a lined image so that the color peeks through. See how shiny the gold is? It goes pretty fast once your heat tool is all heated up. And then when I'm done, you guys can tell me if you like the silver better or the gold. It's super shiny. Two more to go. And then what I normally do when I'm embossing, when I'm heat embossing, I usually hold it up to the light to make sure everything is nice and shiny. Okay, let's check this out. Okay, I think I got it all. Now, let me bring the cards in so you guys can see them again. Okay, we're all done with this. I'm now going to bring in my machine. And you can see that the first die cut sits over to the right. Let me see if I can uncurl this a little bit. And I just need to find my die. So I'm going to put this down. I'm actually going to use some sticky paper to hold that. Whoops, wait a minute. That didn't stay. Let me put it on the inside. So I'm going to cut that one out first. And I usually go back and forth to make sure it cuts through the watercolor paper. Okay, so there's my first card. Now we need to cut out the little flower die cut, or the little branch. I'm going to put that right in the middle. So you can see we have a couple steps on this. Okay, there's that one. Now we're going to put this all together. So you see how you cut twice to get all the shapes you need. Now, one important thing, if you're going to try this and use the same die cut or similar, I want to be careful here while I take this off. You need this little piece right here in the middle, okay? It goes right here. You can see where I glued it back in. So make sure you keep all your pieces. Now, let's start with this one first. I'm going to use liquid glue. Make sure you put some in all these little crevices so you don't want anything sticking up. So that's going to go on to the right hand side, just like that. I'm just going to take my stamp case and press on that. Oh, I already have some of you that like the gold better, some that like the silver. Okay, now this is where, this one is white. Let me bring my little die cuts. These, remember that this one is a single. These are double. I actually have 3 layers on this one. I wanted to do the single by itself. And then we need this little tiny piece. So I'm going to add glue to all of these little, I call them legs, these legs that are sticking out for your branch. You want to make sure that you get all of them so nothing sticks out. I'm going to take the single one, press that in the hole. And while I'm doing that one, I'm also going to take my little die cut piece and puzzle that together. Now, you could leave it like this, but I wanted some height. So this is where I'm going to add more glue. This does take a little bit of time. And then we're going to position. So there's going to be 3 total layers on the centerpiece here. Okay, again, I'm going to take my stamp case, make sure that's all lined up. I'm just going to press. Okay, and there's the middle of that, 3 layers of watercolor paper. So there you can see the difference between the gold or the silver. Now let's move on to this card. Now, because I have a lot of space here, you can use stamping dimensionals, but I have little bits and pieces of my foam adhesive sheets here I'm going to use. And I'm just going to put right in the corners. It just makes it a little quicker. I always save my little pieces. You know us stampers and scrapbookers, we save everything, don't we? Okay, there's those. I want this to lay nice and flat. I'm also going to add a few mini dimensionals just in these little skinny strips here. Whoops, I didn't bring that one with me. So you guys, I missed being live with you. I've just been so busy with the farmers markets and the craft fairs. I've been doing super well. You guys know that I like to paint, so I've been doing a lot of paint kits. Okay, let me move this over. Now we're going to peel and stick. So I kind of see an even amount of people saying they like the gold better. Some like the silver better. I get a lot to peel here. I think I'm almost done. Wait a minute. I gotta see which ones I didn't get. Just these 2 right here. Okay, now let me stand up so I can get this on here straight. Look at that. Now we need this one. And where's my die cut? I gotta find my, oh, I'm just gonna use my pokey tool. So look how pretty that is with the gold embossing. So I need to glue 1 more. And this will also have 3 layers. Again, just make sure you get adhesive on all those little branches. We're going to glue that on there. There's my stamp case. And then we're going to glue on the card itself. So we're going to add 1 more time. This is what takes the most time, is gluing these together. But it's worth the time. Okay, we're going to stick this right in the middle. Look how pretty that is. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the sentiments. So I'm going to grab my Petunia Pop ink. Now, something that I like to remind you on, always, always use your grid paper and test out your sentiment. I use the dark line and I put it as straight as I can. And it looks like it needs to go up just a tiny bit on the left. So let's see if I can do this right. There's 1. And 2. It helps to do that test run first. Okay, now on this one, I want it raised. So I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. I don't want to add dimensionals like where the branch sits because we already have height there. So I'm going to do 3 like the, actually I'm going to do an extra one. I'm going to do 4 and leave this space open. You could add embellishments if you wanted to. Okay, there's that one. Now on this one, we already have the height. So what I did here is I added a dimensional on each side of the branch. Peel those off. Then I'm going to add liquid glue. And we're going to glue this one here. Oh, my cat is meowing, you guys. He wants to come in. Whoops, I didn't go down enough. Right there. He wants to come in. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that. There we go. So there's my two cards. I'm going to bring the one with the largest background and show you the gold and the silver. So which one do you like better? I'm not sure. I like them both. I think if I had to choose, the gold stands out a little bit more, but I'm a silver person normally. So there's my two cards, and I hope you guys will give this a try and add photos to Facebook to show us what you did. And I'll draw a name for a set of these cards tomorrow. So thanks for joining me, you guys. I'll have another watercolor technique next week, so I hope you'll join me. Have a good week. See you next week. Bye-bye.